Welcome, everybody. My name is Taurus Legend. Thank you again for joining us for the June edition of the SAP SAP Cloud Platform Practitioners Forum. We have a couple of great presentations for you today. First off, we're going to have Dan Barton from Bluestonex and Luke Becken from Princes Foods. They'll be presenting re-engineering of engineering via SAP Cloud Platform. And following their presentation, I'll have my two colleagues, Jonathan Russell and Ulrich Hoffman, will be introducing SAP WorkZone. Some of you may have heard of this, heard of WorkZone. They'll be going into a little bit more of an introduction and telling you what it's all about. I wanted to let you guys know before we get underway, there are other practitioners forums that are also being done. There's the SAP Screen Personas Practitioners Forum if you're interested in the Screen Personas Practitioners Forum. That's held every third Wednesday of every month. I host the SAP Fiori Practitioners Forum on the third Thursday of every month. This week will be the next one. Then there's also the SAP UX APJ Practitioners Forum, again the third Thursday of every month. And most recently, we started the SAP Fireside Chat, which is held every Tuesday. Also, the SAP Cloud Platform Practitioners Forum is obviously this one. And then we have the SAP Cloud Platform APJ version, which was heard a little earlier in the day. So if you want to join any of those, please click on these once we upload this to the Jam site and register yourselves. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dan. Dan, if you want to take it over.
Thank you, Taurus. Good afternoon, good morning, or wherever you are. Hi. So I'm Dan Barton from Bluestonex. I'll have with me Luke Becken this afternoon from Princes Foods, and we're just going to walk you through the story of how we describe the re-engineering of engineering processes via SAP Cloud Platform. So I can confirm, Taurus, you're seeing my screen, right?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Good stuff. So yeah, we'll run at quite a pace, guys. There's probably a bit to go through because I think it's more important that people have a look at the apps that were delivered as part of this. But yeah, we'll tell you a little bit about us and Princes and our relationship. And then more importantly, we'll go through the process that we followed really, which followed a human-centered design approach with regards to the engineering processes. And Luke is gonna give you a demo on the system as well. So over to you, Luke, to say a few words first, I think.
Yeah, right. So just a background on myself. As it says, I've been with the Princes Food Group about 5 years, and now I'm very much at the level of group engineering and really trying to get value for money out of engineering and getting good data. That's what drove this project, was getting better data. And in terms of where we're at now, where we were at before, we use SAP PM, ERP6, pretty standard. And basically, we're all using it slightly differently. We're not getting very good data, and we needed a better solution, which is how we began a journey with Bluestonex. And really, the best bit on this slide to focus on is that bottom 4 little bullet points, the transition requirements. And really, the way we approached it was to think backwards. So we started with the need to improve the asset reliability. So we need better data for that to drive the decision-making process. We have to go mobile because the data needs to be live, and therefore we needed to simplify the interface, which we'll see in the demo, which speaks 1,000 words. And that's a very brief background where we're at. The Princes Food Group, it's a mixed group. There's 2 main sides to it. There's the traded division, which I have nothing to do with. So we buy and sell food from suppliers and we sell it on. And then there's the manufactured side, which is food and drink. There's 2 subdivisions. And that's the side I'm in, the manufacturing plants that we have in the business. We have 14 production sites. We have 10 in the UK. We've got 1 in Italy, 1 in Poland, and 2 in Mauritius. And we make quite a broad spectrum of products. A lot of it is cupboard type essentials, ambient products, which recently been quite useful. And these are the brands we have. Napoleon is a big brand for us, big tomato products. And then Acapure is a water product. These are some of our selling brands, as it were, along with Prince's own products. So yeah.
Brilliant, thanks, Luke. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a feel for the Princes group. Bluestonex, the X in Bluestonex is about innovation and user experience. 2012, we set up the company predominantly to focus on innovation and user experience. Yeah, I've had a passion for a long time now, worked in SAP over 20 years, and I've always had this eagerness to improve SAP. Back then, in the day, I was playing around with tools such as GUI XT. For those of you that remember that, that was well known in the plant maintenance and engineering kind of areas. So yeah, we're based in the UK, but we do have a lab out in India. And as we tell everybody, what's different about Bluestonex, we actually hire design skills that sometimes have absolutely nothing to do with SAP. So we're looking for designers as well as SAP consultants. Yeah, I won't go through the slides, guys, because I'm sure some of you have heard of us before, but we deliver user experience services from design, prototype, build, health checks, right through to support. And we'll do that via various channels, whether that's on-premise solutions, cloud, as in partner managed cloud, which I'll explain. This is the solution that Princes adopted, or the customer might have already adopted their own SAP Cloud Platform, and we help customers like that. Or you can find us on the App Store, where we deploy applications via the App Store. We are one of 11, I think, global SAP App House. So this is all about an innovation culture, yeah. And we're due to open our app house this year. Unfortunately, COVID-19 had other ideas, but this is our design space in Shropshire, an old refurbished Baptist church. So this is where our design team normally reside, although at the moment we're all working remotely. And yeah, we'll talk about Cloud Platform, which I'm sure the guys at SAP are going to go on, but we specialize in multiple areas in the SAP Cloud Platform, and we'll show you a little bit of that with Princes. So I'll let Luke say a little thing about where Princes were in terms of what they were using at the time, but the vision certainly from the CIO at the time was they had old infrastructure with regards to SAP Gateway and Fiori. They hadn't moved there fully. They were just playing around with it. But the vision was to move to the cloud platform for the user interface elements of it. And they obviously had a roadmap with engineering being the first port call, but then there were other areas like master data management. And we also spoke quite heavily about mobile services, which again we'll cover. But it'd be fair to say, Luke, that the processes that were happening within Princes, predominantly SAP GUI, but also lots of paper running around the shop floor when breakdowns were occurring.
Yeah, basically, yeah, very disjointed. Like you say, some of it within SAP if we were lucky, quite a bit in Excel spreadsheets. Information was being passed via diaries. Yeah, very mishmash.
Yeah.
So we need to bring it to one place. So
unsurprisingly, for most of you guys that are familiar with SAP Fiori and design thinking and human-centered design, this is the approach that we followed, from scoping to defining the problem, coming up with prototypes, an ideation phase. Interestingly, in our own practice, we have a usability lab where we do a lot of observation and eye tracking and body language and things like that. So we did actually walk the walk with the engineers on a couple of occasions through various plants during breakdowns. So we actually did follow that journey process quite tightly with the engineers themselves, which was, it was great insight for us actually when we come to prototype. Sorry, just jumping back through here. So the prototyping stage, and Luke will have another kind of give you his own opinion on this. We mainly used SAP Build, where we're drawing sketches after going through, getting some ideas with the engineers, and obviously taking it from pen and paper, loading it into actually SAP Build. So we could see a moving interactive prototype. And obviously from there, we did, to a couple of stakeholders, we put together high fidelity prototypes, and we used a mixture of InVision and Photoshop. But from Luke's point of view, we took the paper prototypes into build, and then our development started within Web IDE. Again, I won't preach to the converted for those of you that know these tools. This is just what we use with Princes, and I think it'd be fair to say, Luke, the whole prototyping and design thinking was new for Princes, and it seemed to be something that it bought in really well. Engineers did get involved in this quite heavily.
Yeah, they did. Their feedback is pivotal. They're going to be the end users at the end of the day. But obviously, as part of that process, is making sure we get the information that we need as well to run, analytics against to improve the assets. But yeah, it was very much key to have them involved, and they were through the process.
So yeah, as I said, I won't repeat parrot fashion what's on the slides, but we did go through several cycles of prototypes, as you can see, from very, very badly drawn mobile applications to kind of high fidelity prototypes. But from a customer's point of view, we got some really good feedback. We come up with some quite nice ideas. People need to bear in mind as well, Princes were on quite an old version of SAP, old components in there. So in terms of what could we use standard, there was nothing there really for us. So we were literally starting from a custom build point of view. However, we're taking into account things like best practice when it comes to design, and also apps that are already being widely adopted within kind of S4HANA. So just to explain technical architecture, and we'll just crack on straight to the demo. So what we have today, or what Princes have in place, is ECC6, and that is connected to 3 sub-accounts in the cloud platform. So we're using a Fury baseline service. We're actually using mobile service, which I'll explain as well. But if you can imagine, we've got a dev, a quaz, and a production sub-account, and we're using a bunch of services. Okay, that's at a high level. These are the services that we were using in the cloud platform, where the vision was, we were looking at 2,200 users that would be accessing Fury Cloud or Fury Baseline in the cloud platform, where they're able to access these simplified applications, with the long-term goal being this is the unified entry point for the users. So this is the architecture really that was adopted by Princes. As you can see, Cloud Connector was connecting backend system to cloud. We're using OData to push and pull the data, the UI layer solely in the cloud platform. Again, one of the main reasons behind that, SAP Cloud Platform for the portal and the UI5 applications, you can get at the latest and greatest kind of controls. So that was another kind of driver behind it. And I believe, Luke, correct me if I'm wrong here, but initially we were using a mixture of Chrome and Fury clients deployed on devices.
Yeah, we were, yeah.
Okay, I'll let you explain what we did, Luke, and then I'm going to hand over to you and you can showcase some of the applications in your quality system.
Right, yeah, okay. Well, one of the biggest things was this dramatic change of scope. Initially, when we approached Bluestonex, we just wanted a very basic solution with very few frills is probably the word I would use, and it dramatically changed due to a variety of factors within the Princes group. Manufacturing sites were changing and adapting how they were operating as a business, and so it basically grew into a fully fledged solution. And then we developed a bigger roadmap beyond this initial batch of apps. We're very much focused on what we think of as a breakdown engineer, a person on the shop floor fixing machines there and then with a mobile device, with a toolkit on that mobile device. That's what we were really aiming for. But there's more of this journey to come for other users where we can develop the solution. And critically through the whole process has been trying to keep it looking and feeling very consistent. Bluestonex have been great at helping with that and getting us a usable solution. So no more words. I'll share my screen and show you the apps. Can do that. Right. See my screen? Yeah.
It's there now.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So set them onto the launch pad. So basically, we developed 2 apps, a 2-step process to create a notification with a work order, which starts the clock ticking. So we'll start with that first. I'll talk as I do it. Yep, so it's going to build us the asset list on the left here as a list. And on a mobile device, we'll be able to scan the assets. They have QR codes on the assets. So the engineer, it's quicker, it's far more accurate, and it'll drop you into a list of sub F-locks in effect. So I'll raise one against C5 capper. So it's a capping machine for putting caps on bottles in this case. It is thinking. Yeah, so pick the top one. We'll see the 3 last jobs, very much like SAP does. And we can create a breakdown job. So all we have to do is put in what's wrong with the machine, the symptom. So I'm going to say machine run lamp out. So I'm just saying that as a lamp has gone down. Click create notification. It warns me because I'm going to put in this data into SAP. And there's the success message saying there's the order and there's the notification. That data has now gone into our SAP system. So that starts the clock for the engineer. Now they're looking at the machine, they're trying to think how to fix it. They've done the repair or they need parts, so they're coming into this confirmation screen. This number here is the outstanding jobs at this plant for the last 28 days that need confirming. So the numbers update. And again, we'll get a list on the left. It'll be oldest to newest at the bottom, newest is at the bottom. So there's my order, that's me. And then I can look for parts. Again, on a mobile solution, we can add stock and we'll be able to scan the bin in the stores if we knew where it was in the stores. But we want to search for the part, so we're going to look for a lamp, a beacon lamp. And we'll grab the site. And it gives me these are the hits of what's available. If you've got little glasses, we can look at an image, which can be very helpful if you've not got a part number on the part. So we've got that lamp there. We've got a different shaped lamp. It's all to speed the process up for the repair. So yeah, that's what we want. So we tick the little box. Yep, this is the part I want. We'll just use one. And we're saving it. It warns me again. And it's success. And that's the reservation. So we've retained that 2-step process we had in SAP. So the part is reserved to the job now. We've got the bin location here on the right. So now I need to lift the part out of stores. So I need to be goods issuing. So I tick the little box, issue the goods. It warns me again because it's going to put this data into SAP. And I get a success message and that's gone. And then we can see it's issued. This allows us to reverse that issue. And we also get a history. And the reason we built the history in was if engineers are taking parts out and putting them back in again, it was to avoid any confusion, to keep the stock of the materials correct. So that's the materials usage. And then we just need these bits of data for the actual what work was done. So we're going to say it took 20 minutes. We're going to say the lamp replaced. And then we need to pick a problem code. It's just no output. And we're just going to say contamination. We could do a partial confirmation if the work needs to continue, but we'll just do a final. It warns me again because the information goes into SAP and we get the success message. And that's the process. That's everything for start to finish for what we think of as a breakdown or a reactive work order. Yeah, so.
Yeah, and it'd be fair to say, Luke, we've gone through a couple of iterations of this with the engineers. So as we were prototyping, in the beginning, there was quite a lot going on there's still a lot going on within the application. I mean, this application itself is doing reservations, goods movements, confirmations, and all sorts of stuff. And we've simplified it further, haven't we? So yeah. I think we did some measurements initially from number of clicks and number of screen jumps that were happening, on SAP GUI as well as bits of paper. And the reduction or the efficiency savings were quite significant.
Oh yeah, the cost savings are huge. I mean, not just in time spent doing the work, it's the training side as well. This has been trained out. It's trained out in 10 minutes. It's hard to forget. It's all down to the left, over to the right. It warns you, the system, if you don't do something. Yeah, and like you say, there's an awful lot going on in the background. It's updating fields, information that we need. automatically. Yeah, but yeah, the engineers have seen this through its slight revisions. We've driven it forward. Yeah, it's been good. It's good stuff.
Brilliant. Okay, so let me thank you for that, Luke. I'll just come back to my screen a second. So are you guys seeing my screen again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I just want to explain, I'm actually in Prince's dev here, so that there are a number of apps that are actually in flight and in test right now. But what I wanted to explain was the point that obviously this is a cloud environment now, and we've deployed other applications based on almost like an ROI. So Prince's have kind of cherry-picked certain applications like purchase order release, for example. Again, a few challenges with each application that we've worked on, really, because, as I said, ECC was maybe an old version, but also some of the functionality in the back-end system wasn't, for example, there might not have been workflow set up. So there were a few challenges, but what we intended to do was give a simplified, consistent look and feel for applications, but not only UI5 applications. We've actually started to integrate Slipstream, which is part of SAP Screen Personas. So you can see here, I've got UI5 applications, but I've also got Slipstream application here that manages a lot of the master data entries around data. So it's a really, really powerful way to bring that unified entry point for the user and have different applications there pointing potentially to different back-end systems. So it's it works quite well, and the feedback that we've had from users has been really positive, Luke.
Yeah.
So just finally, what Prince's pipeline? I'll let Luke just say a little bit more about this, but there is quite a roadmap for engineers building on top of what they've done. Obviously, the feedback was important that they got some successes and some good ROI, and these are some of the aspects that they're looking at next, such as IoT, dashboarding, which Princes have already started to trial, actually. So this is a dashboard that was a POC for Princes using SAP Analytics Cloud, just doing some metrics around sales. But obviously engineering is Luke's little baby now. So these are the next steps that we're looking at with Princes. So I think that's it, Luke, unless you want to take some questions from people. I don't know, Taurus, I think there might be a few questions in the chat.
Yes, there are. So if you guys want to ask any questions to either Dan or Luke, please unmute your line and ask your question, or type your question in the chat. I think there is a few questions in the chat. So one is, how about SAP Asset Manager mobile app? Any reason why it's not used in your business case?
Well, I know the discussions that we had with the CIO, so cost, complexity, and licenses were part of that decision. I won't say any more.
Okay, so then the next one is, can you talk a little bit on the costing and additional planning that your organizations should consider for that?
Again, Luke, I don't want to talk for you, but from our point of view, I think the prototyping stage and the more workshops where you can actually get to a refined solution, albeit in prototype stage, is quite key. What you don't want working in an agile manner is the solution to keep on evolving. It's a difficult thing to manage from a delivery point of view. So agile is great, and we're big advocates of it, but it needs to be a kind of hybrid model when you want to deliver, what's been agreed, but also deliver in a time scale and on budget.
Okay, I think the last question in the chat is, why didn't you use Fiori Elements, or did you?
Good question. We would have. It wasn't available at the time. So when we actually started this engagement, we're going back quite a long time. As Luke said, we've had a lot of operational roadblocks, if you like. So there's been things going on with workforce, obviously different plants operating different equipment, So it's been a challenge, but we're there now, Luke, aren't we?
Definitely so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just to talk on Fury elements, yeah, I mean, in the future roadmap for Princes, it will absolutely be adopted because it's just a more rapid way to do that. However, alongside the Slipstream engine, which is what you see is what you get, low code, even a lot low coder than Fury elements. So it will be a mix, but it will all be designed with Fury standards in mind.
Okay. If anybody else has any other questions for either Dan or Luke, either type your question in the chat or unmute your line and ask your question. We have a couple more minutes.
It's Gregor Wolfi. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, yes, Gregor, please go ahead.
Yeah, I think you're still on Neo, or?
This environment is, yes, but most of our customers will be migrating to Cloud Foundry.
So it's in the planning.
It's in our plan, absolutely. Yeah. Just interestingly on that, with the whole Neo Cloud Foundry, again at the time, Cloud Foundry was not so mature as Neo, so that was the kind of rationale behind it. But we're moving everything within Bluestonex for customers and ourselves. We run a whole load of HANA DB apps that don't even integrate to SAP, so literally standalone applications. We have got quite a big migration exercise. Technically, I'm not sure it's going to be that big a deal, but in terms of coordinating, yeah, everybody should be kind of looking towards Cloud Foundry now.
And do you have points identified which are still missing in Cloud Foundry?
Our team are actually doing that gap analysis right now. So I'm as interested in you are into those findings, because clearly we wouldn't be migrating anybody until we know the pitfalls, if there are any, of course. But watch this space. I will certainly be letting people know.
Great, thank you.
Great.
Hi, this is Gary Kacharia. I have one question.
Sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's more of towards the life cycle management of the application. So my question is, was there any specific lessons learned for setting up the whole account, transport management, and monitoring the whole solutions? Like, as it's a fairly complex applications, what I understand from your presentations, probably life cycle management was a challenge. Was there any learning which you want to share? Because development part, okay, we all understand, but when we are building the complex applications, we are familiar with the on-premise, and lifecycle management we are familiar of, but in the cloud, challenges come. So any points from that angle that would be really helpful.
Yeah, good question again. So I think it'd be fair to say that Princes IT have had a steep learning curve, I think, getting their heads around the cloud and the different aspects of the services. Clearly, we manage it for them, but it's good to take your customer along for the ride. So upskilling, teaching the roles and authorization people that are typically used to ECC type, roles and authorization. That was probably a learning that we didn't consider. Princes now actually create the roles and assign users themselves in the cloud, even though we're supporting them. So I think that's one learning. But I'll be honest with you, I think working in the SAP Cloud Platform for the user experience deployment is a lot easier in the cloud platform than dealing with on-premise. That's my personal opinion. Everything was a lot faster and a lot more seamless than on-prem.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dan. Thanks,
You're welcome.
Luke. So if you have any other questions for Dan or Luke, please type your questions in the chat area, and Dan will be monitoring that and answering your questions. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I'd like to now hand it off to my colleague, Jonathan Russell and Uli Hoffman. Jonathan?
Hi, Taurus. Thank you for that. And Dan and the Princes team, thank you so much for the presentation. It was super interesting. I think really illustrates what I'm hopefully going to bring to life for you with regards SAP Work Zone and looking at the sort of the next generation. But I thought everything you did with regards executing process, the designing of it, the experience, everything else is exactly why we've looked to build SAP Workzone, which is what I'm going to take the next few minutes to bring to life. And then my colleague, Uli Hoffman, from the product management team, is going to look to bring Workzone to life for you with a little demonstration. So Workzone is a new solution we're launching at SAP. It'll be being released in the coming months. We're just finalizing some of the commercials and also how it's actually going to get launched to the marketplace as well. But the product itself is ready to roll. We're just dotting all the I's and crossing the T's, as it were. So as it is a sort of a newly released product, it comes with the usual legal disclaimer. I promise I won't read this to you, but you've been suitably warned, as it were. So what I'm going to cover today, so I think firstly I want to just touch on very briefly the sort of why Workzone and sort of why we've sort of built Workzone and brought it to life for you. Then I'm going to touch on sort of at a very high level just some of the solution elements, and then I'm going to Uli bring it to life with a live demo, which is always brave, and then we'll cover off any questions at the end that haven't been addressed during the chat. So let's crack on with it and let's understand why. So why Workzone? So I think where we've looked at Workzone, I think it's a really, really interesting, building on the presentation beforehand as well, is again looking at around sort of employee experience and how we're sort of driving that employee experience. But again, all around, and I think Mark, we touched on it in that one, driving productivity, but also when we're looking at around experience, I think it's one of those things that gets forgotten all the time is around the reduction in training costs and also the increase in adoption as well. So again, we're really looking to build Workzone and bring it to life to help drive that sort of all-important employee experience. I think the second piece of the jigsaw around sort of Workzone is, and I think, again, you've illustrated it with this one, but again, looking at all the different things across what we're seeing as our intelligent sort of enterprise sort of vision and strategy. So being able to deliver those agile sort of business models, but also being able to provide that sort of mission critical sort of data-driven decisioning so people can make the right decisions with the right data and the most accurate data, which was great to see was one of the challenges that you've overcome with this project. You know, so they can make those decisions and decide what's the best sort of course of outcome as well. And again, I think hopefully what you'll see with Workzone is it'll be helping customers accelerate on that journey to the intelligent enterprise. And I think hopefully, guys, you'll be able to see as well that actually the framework and the system that we're creating will help really look to wrap everything together. And the final piece of the jigsaw, what we're looking at around this is around sort of that sort of employee engagement. And again, what we're looking with Workzone to go sort of beyond what we've just illustrated, but being able to connect all of the different aspects of an entire employee's working life all into one place. And the idea being able to sort of harmonize the landscape. And again, where we're really looking to drive and the sort of the vision for the future is automating as much as possible the sort of what we class as sort of functional processes. So just the things that you have to do as your sort of day job. So again, employees can be focused on, this is from the boardroom to the shop floor, focus on those sort of high value tasks that are going to make a difference to the company and help the company sort of realize the sort of their objectives, and also for the employee to appreciate their role in that journey to the sort of overall sort of company success as well. So I think that's what we're really looking to pull everything together with regards to SAP Workzone. And again, the reason we're so focused around employee engagement, just to put it into context from an SAP perspective, and I'm not breaking any sort of commercial confidence, we report this on our annual report, but for every 1% increase in SAP's employees sort of engagement score, it adds 50 million euros of operating profit to our bottom line. So again, what we're really looking to do is help all of our customers, partners, suppliers like is drive their employee engagements as well, so they can realize the benefits. So that's why we really think it's all about, Workzone is going to be critical to it. So it's all around driving engagement and productivity, which I think is two of the things you brought to life sort of beautifully in the previous demonstration. So firstly, looking at sort of, personalization. This is, again, I think very much about sort of removing the noise, ensuring that an individual team has access to the data and the processes they need to be able to get their work done. The second thing is around making it engaging. And again, I think this is around engaging and around the sort of the user experience. And again, you illustrated it far better than I over the sort of, the ease of adoption, the reduction in training costs, and the fact that, someone can just pick this up and be up and running in no time at all as well. So again, always around focus on driving sort of productivity. And again, the final thing is around sort of unification. And I think, and I think you've probably seen from some of the announcements sort of from Christian Klein as well, is, we're absolutely driving hard within SAP now to actually sort of align the sort of the underlying data models as well. So again, across the SAP application landscape, but also leveraging the power of the cloud platform, taking data from outside of the SAP applications and non-SAP applications and pulling that into this environment. So again, an employee who, if we're honest, doesn't care where the data comes from, can actually do their job as well. So that's something we're really looking to do across sort of SAP Workzone, is sort of provide that sort of unification platform. So I think to summarize it, what we're looking to do is find, a personalized, engaging sort of workplace environment which streamlines those functional processes for an employee and allows them to focus on the high value task, which is going to make a real difference for every organization. So let's take a quick look at it, and I'll sort of navigate around what you've got here. And as I said, I'll touch on this briefly because Uli's going to bring this to life with a live demo. So I think one of the critical things, and I'm going to touch on the sort of underlying sort of architecture or marketecture, depending on how technical you are in a moment. It's been very much built with SAP sort of architectural principles. It's been built on the Business Technology or Cloud Platform. That's the Cloud Foundry Cloud Platform. And again, it's whilst it's a new product, it's leveraging so many of our sort of tried and trusted sort of services from the sort of the entire SAP estate as well. And also as well, one of the great illustrations of this as well is, rather than the different lines of business going off and building new sort of applications or integrations, we're looking to leverage the sort of the core services. And so the best illustration will be when we launch the sort of the one inbox or the my inbox at the end of the year, that will automatically be dropped into the Workzone. So rather than being another inbox being created, we're going to really look to harmonize the landscape as well. The solution comes with its own app, but that's again been built using our mobile services technology. So again, giving the capability for an organization to extend it and integrate other applications they've built on the cloud platform as well into it. There's a pre-built integration with our conversational AI. And again, we're leveraging some of the best parts of the IBPM sort of suite as well. I'm going to come on to one of those critical parts of that in a moment as well. Again, I think when we're looking at the sort of experience and sort of driving employee engagement, we've obviously put an integration with our sort of Qualtrics suite to look at that employee engagement and sort of employee management piece as well, to be able to collect that all critical sort of feedback at the point of need. And I think as well, just referring back to the sort of the Prince's presentation as well, what you're able to do within this environment is be able to surface those UI5 cards and those sort of Fiori apps directly within this environment. But again, what we've used is some of the other technologies within SAP. So it's all widget driven and drag and drop as well. So again, business users are able to customize these pages and build their own pages should you let them and give them the power to do that. So they can drag the data that's critical to their role directly within the environment to facilitate how they want to best work. And again, Uli will bring that to life within this environment. And then again, being able to surround it with all the different rich content that we can provide. We've made it context aware. Now, I was very skeptical on this. Is one of these things where everyone says everything's sort of context aware, but within the system, there's actually a little rules-based engine. So you can determine on the different pages who can see what apps and which data as well. It's using our sort of collaboration sort of services sort of technology within the platform as well. So again, where we're really looking at that employee engagement piece. So again, being able to surface that sort of critical sort of news and sort of the company strategy and the vision, looking to really drive that purpose and sort of pride for an individual, so they can see that being pushed to them at the point of where they're working, not just in a siloed intranet somewhere, but in the space where they actually execute their role-based processes. So they're able to see how their processes fit into the overall company strategy. And also as well, we can pull data from our HR systems or other HR systems, so they can then see what they're executing is impacting on their own sort of KPIs and performance as well. So really looking to drive that sort of mission critical sort of employee engagement. Again, as you demonstrated beautifully earlier, the sort of the Fiori Launchpad. Again, you can consume the Fiori Launchpad within this environment. But as we touched on before, any of those Fiori apps or Fiori tiles can be dropped within this environment as well, and then surrounded by the rich content. And an example of that would be the knowledge base as well. And of course, we've included the ability to search across the entire sort of data that's stored within WorkZone itself as well. So let's have a quick look at the architecture before I touch on an integration and then hand over to Uli to bring it to life. So the architecture, so as you can see, we're using the core services and extensibility using our SAP sort of open connectors technology. You know, SAP has been aligned with all of our design principles. So again, it's building on that sort of Fiori design and that sort of Fiori Launchpad as well, and leveraging the best elements of the SAP estate. What I want to now is just touch on a couple of the integrations. So one of them, which I've already mentioned, is the integration with our conversational AI as part of the IBPM suite. The other critical aspect, we've done this as well, and again, rather than building another workflow engine, what we've done is use the Cloud Platform workflow engine. And again, that's integrated into this as well. So again, people to be able to execute those critical end-to-end processes within this environment, and Uli can bring that to life in the demo as well. And the final piece of the integration I want to bring to life is with regards to Microsoft Teams. And we'll just drill into that a little bit further. So what we've done is take Microsoft Teams, and again, this isn't just pretty PowerPoint, there's a working demo, well, it's a live product, it's live now as well, but a demo and video of this as well, where we're able to surface a WorkZone app within the Teams framework. So again, allowing employees and individuals to access that critical mission data that they need to execute their job or execute processes, but within this sort of employee-friendly sort of collaboration environment as well. So again, being able to really put the power of the data from all the different back-end systems in the power of employees to be able to execute the processes they need to do or make the right decisions based on the accurate data that's in their hands as well. And I think this is something we're seeing customers are really sort of biting on, with the real ability to change that whole sort of employee experience piece. A couple of other pieces we just want to bring to life. We touched on the UI5 card integrations. So again, the ability to surface data within this environment. And again, Uli will demonstrate to you how these can be, these widgets are literally drag and drop, and you can determine how and where and what else you want to sort of put on a page. We've got all of the sort of content creation sort of capability to be able to create these sort of workspaces where we can drop a knowledge base in there as well. There's videos, wikis, tasks, you know, forums and alike. So again, being able to really enable people to work within this environment. And again, all of this is all built from a widget-driven sort of perspective as well. So again, really looking to accelerate that time to value. So these are no longer complex IT-driven sort of portal solutions as well. We can build these rich, engaging environments in no time at all. Again, the final piece of the jigsaw, and I think very much sort of pertinent for this day and age, and I think as you touched on as one of the guiding principles of the Princes thing, is about making it mobile first as well. So again, it comes with its own mobile client, but again, using our mobile services sort of technology as well, and the different toolkits, again, being able to extend these apps and build your own apps as well within this environment. So again, allowing people to execute processes, just as you beautifully brought to life, directly within the WorkZone environment. But there are a couple of other nice little features we've added as well. So again, using our mobile cards technology, so being able to take those UI5 cards and be able to drop them into your sort of mobile wallet as well. And again, you can simply from within these different tiles within the WorkZone environment, click on this and it can be dropped into your wallet. The easy illustration before the coronavirus was again exactly how people use the sort of, you know, your sort of airline ticket as you're sort of waiting for the boarding gate to sort of open and stuff like that. It'll be constantly updated. But again, what we're able to do with all of that mission critical SAP data is be able to drop that into your wallet as well. So you can see what's happening with that sort of integrations with the back-end systems as well. So again, really trying to put the power into the hands of an individual and bring it to life from that mobile first perspective. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm now going to stop sharing my screen and hand it over to Uli to bring it to life for you. So Uli, over to you.
Hi, Jonathan. This is Torres. There's quite a few questions if you want to take the time to to answer some of the questions in the chat as well.
Yeah, I'll jump on the chat questions and I'll let Uli crack on with the demo.
Okay, fantastic, thanks.
Okay, so let's just log in. You see there's one header. Of course, a customer can then use the Cloud Platform theming, as you know, and change the theme. For example, select the dark theme, or here the black contrast, and so on. And so you have one common layout for the customer with the colors, with the company logo. You see this search. You see here you can navigate to the inbox. So this is what Jonathan mentioned. This one inbox where everything comes together in one place. We have the notifications, and then you have your further settings. So for instance here, you can activate the mobile app. So you will find the SAP works on mobile app already in the respective app stores for iOS and Android. And here you see that everything comes together, your leave requests, your tasks, your workflow activities, and so on. In addition, you see here this is a UI integration card. So with a Business Application Studio or the UI Card Explorer, you can develop own cards. They can be brought into this product easily. This might be directly from the Business Application Studio or via zip file download, upload. So a developer can develop it, then the the overall administrator in the company can bring it to the system, and then a content admin or even a user in the business area can easily build this out on the corporate intranet, on the modern intranet, and add more capabilities to add a social layer. You see here, for example, is a workflow launcher. There might be the knowledge base that can be accessed. There might be data coming from business applications here, for example, from Service Cloud, if there should be high priority tickets, Qualtrics surveys, quick links to HR and other areas, travel expenses, time off. Then on the lower right, you see you can launch your conversational AI, so you could start your chatbot interaction as well. Then there's this area My Apps, which is the launchpad. So here everything comes together. For many years, SAP works on this. We are bringing the 20 different launchpads from the customer together to this one central launchpad. So here you see SAP Fiori Launchpad, Cloud Platform Launchpad. It's also an integral part of the product. Yeah. Same as or the community portal, modern intranet functionality, the mobile device based on the MDK, yeah, and so forth. So yeah, what else? You have the workspaces, the tools. So here you see, for example, the knowledge base you can access. You see recommendations. You see the business records, the business applications. You can access the calendar, the tasks. So let's just browse through. So here you see a knowledge base with your details. You can easily search for something. You have this very easy search experience for your company wiki. The recommendations. So here you get some suggested content. So for example, the system recognized that I'm interested in manufacturing topics for this persona, and then you see most relevant content or relevant workspaces you would like to work in. So you can see here, for example, there's a recommendation for knowledge base for service employees where you find your micro learnings and your latest tasks and so forth. Also, it's of course pretty easy to create your own workspace. Let's say you can select a template such as your help and support template and say, okay, this is, for example, your Mac user support. And then you can maybe take a view and create this. And as mentioned, this can be at the same time integrated in your Microsoft Teams so that you can work in Teams on your documents, but you can even access this as an additional tab in your Microsoft Teams, yeah, so that the collaboration for team collaboration the user can stay in Microsoft, while for broader communities, such as the overall experts community, knowledge base, you might want to work in work zone, or if you're modern intranet. There can be also in coexist, obviously, that the customer has some areas built out with SharePoint and others here with work zone, and they just look the same as a freestyle layout. So here you see there's a nice onboarding wizard. So the system helps you to customize a page, add content to the workspaces and so on. And so it explains what to do. So for example, that I can here use the widgets and then easily say, okay, I'd like to add content here. And now I add a new tab here with content, and then you can see you can upload files, you can create wikis, blog posts, you can use extensions and integrate more content. Same would be if you want to now set up a knowledge base or something like this. It can be easily added to the space. And once you're ready, you can activate the space and then can automatically or manually invite the right users to this space. And then there's a new innovation which is my workspace. So obviously the user already gets a role-based, engaging social intranet, adding the social layer that they can interact and so on, that we saw. The My Workspace is the additional possibility that the user can really configure their own page super easily. Yeah, similar to the workspaces where there's a team collaboration here. You can simply say, okay, I'd like to configure the page, and you see that's super easy. You have the widget builder. You can move these tiles around. Then you can say, okay, this is what I need. I might need web content. I need my Fiori applications I want to bring in. You know, inbox, purchase orders, workflows, or other Fiori content you have, depending on what you defined. There can be all the UI integration cards. You see here a long list of cards: workflow launcher, workflow wizard, org charts, time oft, ServiceNow incidents, for example. Then by this you can bring in any content you need, and let's say, for example, anything you might want to add. And then you simply publish the page. And so here you again see the Fiori tile. There's an announcement where you might want to link it to some additional content. Then you get your UI cards that integrate in third-party applications or SAP applications. Here's an example for a card that shows a report. Here's a playlist. Here's a workflow wizard. So here you can easily start a workflow and kick it off with the guided procedures. Here's a workflow launcher for additional workflows. Apply for leave or something. Here, your recommended workspaces. There's a Qualtrics survey implemented. Again, featured content. Of course, there can be also third-party content such as SharePoint. Okay, I think this is a short overview, and give it back to Jonathan and open for question and answers.
Sure, thanks, Uli, for bringing it to life. So I think hopefully that's been a little sort of whistle-stop tour of SAP WorkZone. I think one of the things to sort of focus on is the ease of use and the drag and drop capability, and the ability to actually drop that mission critical data from either the Fiori apps or the UI5 cards in there as well. And the other big piece of the jigsaw is the ability to execute those end-to-end sort of workflows as well that can be built within the system. And we're also seeing the other lines of business with SAP building out sort of workflows as well. And of course, even within the suite itself, there's lots of different sort of bespoke workflows that have been sort of created. So at that point, I'll pause there and we'll see if we can answer any of the questions.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, Uli. So if you guys have any questions for either Jonathan or Uli, please unmute your line and ask your question, or type your question in the chat area.
Right, there's a few in here. Right, let's go. So let's take one. So how is it different from SAP Freestyle Portal? So the and Uli, correct me if I get this wrong, the Freestyle portal gives you the ability to create those pixel perfect sort of portals, and you can do whatever you want, but they tend to be quite heavy lifting, sort of IT orientated projects. And again, if you then want to change anything, it's sort of fairly sophisticated change request. What you've seen with WorkZone is it's all drag and drop and widget driven. Now, that does have some limitations on those absolute pixel perfect portals. But again, we only touched on it very briefly when Uli was sort of bringing it to life. There's a lot of design capability within it, being able to theme the banner and everything else you can do with the whole page, which can be then cascaded across your entire application estate as well. And again, all the design capabilities within the different groups and sort of pages as well. So whilst you might not be able to create everything you need, what you will be able to do is get very, very close to it. And again, we'll look to build out over time that sort of freestyle sort of capability as well. So hopefully that covers that off. Will the licensing model be easy in all of the components? Will the licensing model be easier than all the components currently required to build a cloud Fiori portal? Yes, I think hopefully what you'll see and what we're working really hard on at the moment is how we package up the solutions so we can make it really, really easy to understand and sort of consume it as well. So hopefully we'll make the licensing as sort of as simple as possible. It's never really, really easy, because obviously so many customers already have a number of component parts from the estate as well, and we're trying to ensure that people aren't forced to duplicate purchases. So we'll try and make it as simple as possible, and that's a real focus on at the moment that we're working on. I'm trying to get the different portal. Hope we covered all. Is the QR code scan for the onboarding or the Q? So yes, again, you can use the QR code for sort of enrolling the mobile app as well. So again, absolutely that works. That's sort of out of the box as sort of standard functionality. Uli, can you help me on this one? Could you run cross SAP Microsoft workflows?
Yes, so this is a full-blown workflow engine from SAP. The only thing is what we did is you as a developer persona, you develop a workflow with a workflow tool, and you need to license it either way, CPEA or whatever subscription, and then per user per month. And then you have this nice widgets, which you saw, the workflow launcher and these guided procedures where you have these different steps, step 1 to 3. And this makes it, of course, much easier to be consumed. So this workflow developed in the business applications studio, and where potentially a line of business or an industry provides already sample workflows for the customer, such as a parental leave workflow for success factors. The customer or the system integrator can further change the workflow and then in an easy way use it here. And I think this is a big driver also to sell workflow in future. Mm-hmm. So currently we saw quite often that we looked at customers and then for some reason they weren't aware that we have workflow, and then for example, in success factors environments, they implemented Salesforce or ServiceNow, and the workflow engine is quite expensive. It's $32 respective $36 or euro per user per month.
So I think as well, I think the other way, which I think we've seen with WorkZone from the sort of the feedback sort of from a lot of customers as well, has been around, I think it really gives everything a home as well. So I think absolutely to Uli's point over, the sort of either the workflow engine or some of our intelligence services as well, it allows us, to really put the power in the hands of the individual as well. And again, I think when you look at, when we touched on, and which I really enjoyed the Prince's sort of vision and what you've done there as well, is that's a phenomenal execution around that single process, but then being able to put, the power of the rest of the sort of estate in the hands of those employees executing that process as well. So again, looking to go on and be able to automate something as simple as just a holiday booking via conversational AI, but all within that environment. So again, driving and streamlining productivity as well.
Exactly. So we can.
A question in the chat. yes, you can embed Salesforce data using our open connectors technology as well.
Yeah. And you saw maybe the UI integration card. Okay, didn't maybe for this user, I used a user that is not integrated with the service now, but a partner can build a UI integration card for Salesforce. We already built some on our end to play around with ServiceNow, and then it shows up in this consistent UI. And if it renders on a mobile card, you also have this micro app. And with the workflows, again, you can build these kind of Uber workflows that sit, if you want, on top of different applications, SAP and non-SAP.
So, Taurus, I'm conscious of time,
Yeah.
so we'll hand it back to you. But if there are any further questions, we're delighted to take them sort of
Sure.
offline.
That's great. Thank you so much, Jonathan and Uli, for that great presentation. So if you guys have any other questions for Jonathan or Uli, just type your questions in the chat, and they'll monitor that for the duration of this for the next couple of minutes. And I will share their email address. If you have questions, you guys can get in touch with them directly and get any other questions that you didn't get answered today. I want to just remind everybody that next month, July 21st, we'll have our next SCP Practitioners Forum. We have a couple of great presentations. Next month, we'll have the Sun Chemical success story, as well as my colleague Andreas Hirscher will be giving you guys a presentation on the Discovery Center and and how you guys can leverage that within your organization. So join us next month in July 21st for those two great sessions. Again, these presentations will be uploaded, as well as the recording will be uploaded to the Jam site, so you guys can enjoy it afterwards. If you don't have access to the Jam site, please let me know, and I will give you access to that or send you the invite to the Jam site. And with that, I want to thank Dan Barton and Luke Becken, as well as Jonathan Russell and Uli Hoffman for their great sessions today. I thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us today as well. And I want to wish you a good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're located. Talk to you guys next month. Thanks.
Take care, everyone.
Thank
Cheers.
you.